So in this video I want to show you a quick overview of this game. I want to mention it again that Human Punishment at the beginning, this version I have, that's still a prototype, so I know that the rules are constantly changed, and I am using actually outdated rules, and you need to remember that, because the final version of this game can be completely different. I can only show you the feeling of what we can expect from Human Punishment at the beginning. So that's the setup of the game for the 6 players. Of course, I will not show you how this game works on 6 players, because that would take too much time and actually space. Because as you can see, those prototype boards are very big, and actually I can fit them on my table, and I could play this game only with 4 players. Let's start with the what do we have on a board, what do you have on the table actually. Main board of the game, which is a city. We have over here that's a special board with enemies, with those 2 tracks, the blue one and the red one. Those tracks show us the process of construction of 2 mechs. One mech is for humans, and one mech is for machines. A lot of cards. We have events in this game. Actually, I love this because this game uses chips, and I know one company that also uses a lot of chips in their games, and I love this. I love this feeling. I love this sound. Using chips is a great idea. So kudos for that. And what do we have more? Cards, tokens. That's a lot of elements in this game, and it can be very overwhelming. So I will try to guide you through those elements step by step. And this game is a semi-cooperative game with hidden identity. Players are humans, can be machine, they can be fallen or legion, and each of these factions have their own personal goal how to win this game. So what's the lore of this world briefly? Humans constructed machines. Machines were supposed to be useful for them and do the work, but they gain consciousness, and now they want to destroy humanity by creating that, actually releasing that human punishment virus into that network over here. That would, I don't know, destroy the whole network in the world, I guess. And those are the 2 sides of the faction. We have also Legion and Fallen. So Fallen are those fallen machines which are living on a junkyard. They have their own agenda, which is actually not destroying the humanity, but being more and more powerful. And a Legion, that's actually some kind of alien entity that was brought to the Earth, and that Legion wants to control humanity, and there's a so the goal of the Legion is to control the humanity and lower all the security meters of the world. The world is no more protected, and now they can take control over it. So those are the factions. At the beginning of the game, each player gets that loyalty card. In a 6-player game, we are using 6 cards. And those are the cards I actually choose for 6-player games. So 3 players would be a human, 1 would be a legion, 1 would be fallen, and 1 would be machine. And what's the goal of the humanity? So players who are humans, they want to build that firewall that would protect the network from human punishment virus. And how can they do this? They can take those from those 3 sectors, data chips over here, and they want to transfer those data chips to the network. But when they are picking it, they don't know what is it. So that's the main goal of the humanity: build the firewall and protect the network. Machines want to destroy the humanity, destroy the network, so they are trying to bring that human punishment virus to the network. And actually that's the same mechanic. Over here we have those 3 types of chips: the blue one with the firewall, the red one with that human punishment virus, and the gray one, which is actually I don't know what's that. Some kind of the files. So that's the one goal of the machines. Bring that chips over here with the virus. Another way how machines can win this game, they can construct Deus Ex Machina, that super powerful mech that would be that would appear in a factory over here, because that's the one region, and that Deus would move through his path to the network, and if it's not blocked, network is destroyed by Deus Ex Machina. So that's the second way how they can win. And the third the third way I remember is that lower the resources in a city to the zero. When the city doesn't have any resources, machine wins. As I said earlier, Fallen wants to lower security in the city to the zero. So if that tracker is over here on a skull, Legion wins. That's the one way. And the second way is threat level. So increase the threat level to the maximum, to the 3. So that's also the way how the Legion can win. And the last faction, Fallen have a little bit different way to play, because Fallen wants to have 3 gray chips in a junkyard. So they're, as I said, they are building their strength, they are trying to be more and more powerful, and they are bringing those gray chips with no one knows what's on them to the junkyard. If we have 3 chips over here, there are 2 gray chips in a network. That's the second condition, and then also Fallen wins. So every faction is completely different. Every faction has its own goals, and it's very, very important to remember that the players need to know this game perfectly if they want to play it and to enjoy it. Because if someone doesn't know the rules, they will be lost completely. So those are the goals of the game. And what I want to show you now is that player board. And as you see, it's a very big player board. I hope they will make it a little bit smaller in the final version, because it's really very difficult to fit this game on the board, on a table. And what do we have on the board? So over here we can place our loyalty card, hidden of course. Steam shots, those are upgrades. Every player have that table over here, and in those boxes up over here and over here we have goals. If a player will achieve that goal, for example, any 2 city actions, so if player would go to the city and perform 2 actions in the city, he could take that Steam shot. It's actually this kind of token. He can play it over here, to show that that achievement is completed, and the goal, the prize below is granted to him. So hand limit is increased by 2, and that's another thing. All those extra goals are also asymmetrical and different for each character. It's very important to remember that, and that can completely influence the way how you are playing. So here are the Steam shots, here are those upgrades, like a little bit of leveling, let's say. Objective, so every player have that secret objective card. For over here, Globetrotter, perform minimum 1 action at area 3, 4 and 5. You must complete your secret objective, so even if you are, let's say, humans and human win, but you didn't achieve your secret objective, you shouldn't say that you are a winner, because you're not. Over here we have space for the recon cards. Over here we have space for the character cards. In here we have symbols, what kind of cards that character have in a deck. Advantages, disadvantages. There's actually a lot of information on that player board, and I wish that the creators would a little bit simplify it, because it can be very overwhelming. So we have advantages, disadvantages, and over here we have four slots for different type of tokens. So network data. In here you are going to put your data chip and transfer it to the network. So as you can see, you can only have one network data. You can have only one data chip. In here you have place for supply. So you can gain different type of supplies, and you're gonna put them over here. And in here you have placed for 2 scanners, and those 2 scanners are used in one specific situation. Because if you have those 2 scanners that can be obtained by visiting 2 specific places, actually it's Nexus and Monolith, you're going to get those 2 scanners. And if you have them and you have that data chip, you're going to the network to put it in the network. And it depends what is your strategy. Maybe you want to gain some trust and you're a machine, or maybe you want to show that you're a human and you're doing something good. So if you have those 2 scanners, you can put your data chip revealed in a network, because normally you have to put it hidden. So you can put it revealed, and now everyone knows that you bring that data chip to the network. If you are a machine, you're bluffing, and that's the way to gain a trust. If you are a human, maybe that's your way to show others that, hey, I'm a human and I want to build a firewall that would protect the network. Here we have place for programs, and here is a place for our wounds. A lot. And now statistics. Thunderbolt, that's how many action points you have. Here you can see how many move actions can you perform. That is your distance of the attack, so with the 0 you can only attack in the same region. That's your power, that's your defense, that's your health points, that's how many program cards you can have, and that's how many cards you will take during a draw action, and the limit is how many cards you can have in your hand. So it's a lot. What next I should show you is those 2 badges that are also given to the players at the beginning of the game during the setup. So one player would be gonna be a general, and one player would gonna be leader. Also, those 2 badges add another layer to this game, makes it more complicated, because what we can read over here. I love this extra thing that authors done, that in every sector, on every element, almost on every element, you have description what you should do, what that item gives you, and how you should use it. So it's not so difficult, but this game is overwhelming at the beginning. In general, have those special actions that are listed over here on the back of that token. So what can leader do? That he have a final say in a ties, or when there's a leader event. And the general, that's the funny one, because again, general events, you have final say. So there are 2 types of events. So in general events, general have final say. When Apex or Deus Ex Machina are built, general will receive the control panel, which is over here. And general can actually add it to his badge like this. Yeah, and general decides whether the Apex gonna move or stop. So if a general is a machine, well, it depends what he wants to achieve. But the point is that humans should be generals, so they can use Apex to protect the network. But who knows what's gonna happen during the game. So here's the control over the mechs. So let's say I'm playing and I'm starting over here, and active player turn looks like this. Draw cards equal to how many cards you can draw. Use your move and action. So I can move to different location, and in this game the locations are shown in a little bit specific way, because locations are those arts. This is the one location, big location. Here we have a med center. Here we have Nexus, HQ, Monolith, you see, isolation cube over here, and the city, the factory and darknet, that's one big location, and Junkyard is another one, and the network is another one. And moving between those locations is shown by those arrows over here. So you can move from sectors to the Junkyard, you can move from sectors to that big one location over here, and so on. You can move from sectors to the Nexus, and it's shown with those arrows. It's a little bit not visible, I think. They should make it more popping out from the board. And then now, so according to what I said, I should draw a card. So according to what I said, I should draw cards, use my one move, and do my one action. And those are those cards. On cards we have numbers, and those cards are used in so many different situations, and they are used during combat. They are used during when you are defending. They are used during events. They are used also during making actions on a board. So those are my cards. And let's say I am doing my one move and one action. So I'm going to the sector because let's say I am a human. I am a human, so I want to build a firewall in a network. I'm going to the sector. That's my one move. Traveling between locations in one area is free. I spent one action to move over here, but now I can decide in which sector I will land finally. So let's say I'm going to sector number 1, and accordingly to what is written over here, I can do one action, which is draw and equip one chip and set counter +1. So I'm taking one chip from here. I can see what I'm taking. It's a part of the firewall, so I'm happy because I'm a human. And I'm moving that counter by 1, and that's another mechanic. The sector values may have a maximum distance of 2 to each other. So if that distance is bigger than 2, you cannot take chips from that specific sector. And it's important because we have different chips in every sector. Over here we have 2 gray chips, 5 red and 4 blue. Here we have 3 gray, 9 red and 6 blue. We have different chips, and that's also a little bit of suggestion. If you are deciding to take a chip from a stack where there's a lot of red chips, so who are you? You are a machine, you are human. Why are you taking the chips from this stack? But at the same time, maybe the distance between the sector is different sector is too big, and the only way to take a chip is go to the sector 2. So there's a lot of elements you have to take into account when you're making an action. So I've took that one chip from over here, and that's it. I can't do anything more. And now spawn phase. So accordingly to this, throw one enemy red die for enemy type, then throw 2 spawn location white dice, so are over here. Value the sum, place enemy there. So I'm throwing those dice. So we have 10 and 8. So we are going to check for numbers over here. 10 is over here, so we have no spawn. So that result is not important. But if we would have, for example, 1, and 1 is over here, so we would spawn this monster on location 8, and location I mean those red circles. So we are looking for 8. 8 is over here, so enemy would appear over here. And one more last thing, we need to check his health value. The heart is 1, so we are taking one chip and put it over here to represent that he have 1 health point. And now we are drawing a card for event phase. We have 3 stacks of events depending on which tier in a network we are right now. So we are over here because there's no chips. So we are drawing a first card from here. And here's the condition. So players gonna give their cards, and if the sum of the numbers on those cards is 7 or more, during riot action you can throw 1 die extra. If the number is lower than 7, morale drops by 2 and general leader gets 1 wound. So that's the event, and how it works. As I showed you earlier, players have those cards and they need to decide what kind of number they want to give. So if I am a human, I want to have a good result, I would give 5. Other players are also giving some kind of cards. We are adding 1 extra card from the general resource, and no one knows what's on this card, so we are mixing those cards together and then show the value. And that's the event phase, and another player is doing his action. And that's it. Those are that's the flow of the standard one round of the one-player game. But what if I wouldn't get that blue firewall? Maybe what if that chip would be red or gray or whatever? I need to do something with this. I don't want to put it into the network. So what could I else do? I can go to the Junkyard and I can do one of the actions from the Junkyard. And what kind of actions I have here? For example, I can remove one chip from the game, and that's the way how I can remove the chips. If I am a fallen and I want to bring those gray chips over here, again I can come over here and I can do action second. So I can, no, not second, first one, and I can just leave that my green gray chip over here. But all those chips are put hidden. Yeah, so I'm putting my chip over here. So other player can also visit the Junkyard and check what kind of chip I left over here to see if I know, human, or maybe I'm trying to collect 3 gray chips over here. So they can investigate my chip and they must put it back in the same space, in the same spot. So players have to remember who done what they placed in different places and so on. So it's very, very engaging game that you need to be totally focused and remember who done what. I can also go to the city, and in the city we have 4 meters over here. First one is the rioting, and that meter I think is the best to have it in the center. I mean, the best for the humanity and for the machines or whatever what. They want to change that rioting. Another one, morale. So again, we can drop it, we can move it to the bottom or to the top, and if it's on the bottom, outlaw wins. Outlaws are actually, no one is an outlaw. If outlaws wins, everyone lose. So here's the morale track. We have those resources. If those resources are on the bottom, machine win. We have security. If the security is on the bottom, outlaw or legion victory. And again, we have all those extra actions which are described over here next to the meters. That shows us what we should do or what we can do to move those meters. And last action is over here. It's actually one simple roll of the die, and depending on what result we gain, so it's 5. In my situation it's 5, and we can add 1 resources. So these are the actions of the city. In a factory you actually don't have any actions. In factory will appear Deus Ex Machina if it's constructed, and that would appear in this place. So Deus Ex Machina appears over here, and now you can see that route to the network. Players who want to destroy humanity, they can move that Deus Ex Machina, and if Machina reaches this spot over here, machines win. But what can humanity do to prevent it? So of course they can attack it by themselves, or they can construct Apex, and Apex starts his way over here in a nexus, and they can move Apex through that blue road and finish it over here. So Apex stays over here guarding the entrance to the network. So even if machines or whatever who created the Deus Ex Machina, and that Deus Ex Machina will move, and those 2 mechs will meet them in this spot, they're automatically destroyed and they're no more into play. And we have few other places in this on the board. Med Center over here, so where you can heal your health and remove wound cards. In Nexus you are building that Apex. In HQ you can gain extra weapons that are used in combat, and they give you extra cards during combat. In Monolith you can pay 5 cards to draw 2 recon cards, keep 1 and second one discarded. And recon cards are like over here, you can draw 1, so investigate 1 loyalty card which is not in play and does not belong to any player. So that's the way to check thanks to that card you can see which of the factions, which of the loyalty cards are not in a play, so you can deduct who is who more or less. So maybe I will show you another card. Investigate an equipped chip from a player of your choice in your area. So that's the way to check who is who, what are they doing, and maybe that's the way how to you can deduct their loyalty. So monolith is over here. Isolation cube is the place where you can put someone who is suspicious for you. Like, for example, you think that someone is machine, and you can persuade that the players should keep that person in an isolation cube, so that person is placed over here, and of course, and he or she can try to, of course, release themselves, and there are some kind of actions that they can perform to try to escape. And the darknet is the last place where you can gain programs, you can refresh your programs or so on. And programs are like these, those are extra special actions and upgrades that you can gain and use. And for example, over here, jetpack, and you can use it anytime. Once you can gain +1 movement, can be used for any player, max 1 per turn. So you can use it only once per turn. And I guess over here you have those 2 cubes. So that jetpack can be used only twice, because you're gonna empty it. So those programs are actually extra perks that also add another layer, and they can be helpful for you, or you can ruin someone's plan by playing that program that can influence other actions. And the last thing I would like to show you is the fight, the battle with the monsters. So over here we have one monster. His health level is 1, so he only have 1 health point, and his attack is 1, plus he can get 1 red card to influence his attack, and his defense is 3, and he can get 1 card that would increase his defense. So for example, that monster is attacking where is my so for example, that monster is attacking my character. I can decide if I am going to defend. My base defense is 2, and I cannot add extra cards. So my defense is 2, and that's it. And his attack is 1 plus a red card. So we are going to take that resource stack of the cards and discard them until we have red cards. So it's -4. So his power is -4 plus 1 is -5. Versus my 2, so we have to do math, it's -3, it's below 0, so unfortunately I got shot and I'm losing 1 health point. And that's actually the main mechanic how you are going to do tests. And those tests are not only that the same mechanic is used not only in combat, it's also used in when you're defending yourself, and in different actions across the board. Some in a city, some in isolation cube. You can use those cards to influence the effect on the dice maybe, or comparing to different numbers. So how long this game is? Game takes actually 3 rounds. First round is a human phase, and this phase ends when we have 3 data chips in the first row over here. The second phase is a machine phase, and again it ends when we have 3 chips over here, and end games when we have 3 chips over here. So for example, we have 3 chips over here, so some player is going to shuffle them and place them face up, so everyone now can see what kind of chips we have in the first round. So we have 2 chips with the human punishment virus, and 1 chip with firewall. So for example, that's how looks the end of the game, and then players need to discover all chips and see what do we have here. So So machine has majority in the first column, and in here majority is for humanity, but in here majority is for machines again. So machine won the game because they have majority in 2 columns, and that's more than 1 column for humanity. And those 2 gray chips actually don't have any influence because we need to have minimum 3 gray chips here and 2 at the junkyard if you want to have the fallen victory. So that's Human Punishment, more or less. I want to say that those rules are still in development, so things can change. We love games with hidden identity, like Antinarching or Battlestar Galactica. It's so very engaging when you don't know who is who. And this game takes that tension, that emotions to the completely different level. But again, there's also one big problem with this game, which is that this game can be very overwhelming at the beginning, and you have to be very well prepared if you want to play it, because I assure you, after 2 rounds of the game, some people will say, I didn't know that, now I am going to lose because I didn't know that. And it's very easy to miss something, because all those actions are connected to each other, and one thing can influence another thing, so you must be prepared. I hope that authors will a little bit simplify this game, and maybe they will prepare a super big player's aid, so no one will feel lost, and they can quickly check what is going on. So again, that's the Human Punishment at the beginning. Check their Kickstarter. I can't wait for the final version of this game, and see you in the next video.